What's going on, my homies? Jolt here from TheTokenMinorities, and I am back with the Week 3 battle of the last Battle Circuit Season 1, where your KC Jirachiefs are taking on AAron2420, the coach of the Calgary Infernapes this week. Make sure to go check out my opponent. He's the man that's been recording my battles for me for the past season and a half, and going back to the GBA this most recent season. So huge shout out to him for that, for sure. I love his content as well, especially just the visual quality of it. So yeah, just make sure to go give him a look. He'll be linked down in the description below. So with that said, I did make a team builder this week, so if you haven't already caught that, make sure to go take a look at that. That'll be linked down, I believe, at the top of the description below as well. And you can see all the details behind the team that I'm bringing here for this week, as well as a little bit of insight as to my strategy for this game. But I will go over the team very briefly here in this video as well. But my opponent decided to bring the Toxicroak, the Comfy, the Mega Tyranitar, Blacephalon, Excadrill, and the Swadloon, which is a crazy bring. That was a sticky web user on his team, and he brought the Swadloon, which is screaming sticky web in this particular game, and thankfully I did prepare for that a little bit here with my team. So I am bringing the Rotom Wash, Mew, Tangela, Regirock, Mega Beedrill, and the Zygarde 50. The Rotom Wash is a pretty straightforward set. I guess it's a little bit, I don't know, it's defog. It's my defogger. It's one way of being able to get rid of the Swadloon's sticky web. It also has Volt Switch, Foul Play, and Will-O-Wisp, which is just generally kind of annoying against this team. Foul Play was meant to help me deal with a potential Haxorus Spring, which he opted not to bring in case he was like a Lumberry or a subset. The Mew is a pretty straightforward Swords Dance variant with some bulk, Sucker Punch, Drain Punches, and Headbutt. The Tangela is a Leech Seeding, Knockoffing, Hidden Power, Ice plus I think Giga Drain. Just a really fat pivot against his team, able to take hits from a lot of stuff on his team. The Regirock is fully especially defensive with Stealth Rock, my best switch into the Blacephalon. Mega Beedrill, really straightforward, 3 attacks plus Roost set with Dual Stab and Knockoff. And then the Zygarde 50 is a Dragon Dance variant with the Ground EMZ and the Hidden Power Ice on the off chance that he brought the Torterra as his Resist 2000 arrows. So that's the team we're bringing for this week. We're trying to win this game with the Mew or with the Zygarde. Both are able to put in a lot of work here in this matchup, but with that said, I'm going to go ahead and stop rambling about the team. We can jump right on into the game itself. Shout out to AAron once again for recording my game this week, and shout out to Styx for ginning my team and for providing us with some incredible nicknames on my Pokemon. So I hope you guys can, I guess, enjoy those as well, though you might cringe a little bit. So anyway, we are going to lead this off with the Rotom Wash, and we can see the first of Styx's beautiful nicknames on this bad boy. So I'm just going to go ahead and go for the Volt Switch on the very likely Focus Sashed Swadloon, as he's most likely going to go for his Sticky Web. I felt like this was the best lead option for me in this game, expecting the Swadloon, as I could have led off with something like my Beedrill, but then I didn't really feel like I'd be able to put myself in as good of a position by U-turning with Beedrill and then going into another mod to deal with this thing. So anyway, I'm just going to go straight for the U-turn here on the Swadloon, as he does get his Sticky Web up. He does reveal the Protect, which is a pretty interesting move, probably scouting for the Defog on my Mega Beedrill, as it does actually have access to that, but I'm not carrying it on Beedrill, I'm carrying it on the Rotom. So I'm just going to go for the U-turn, and he's going to go ahead and sack off his Swadloon here to the U-turn. So that's kind of nice, getting rid of that. That's the only means of setting up the Sticky Web, so I should be able to defog those away now later in the game a little bit more easily. Now I'm going to go into my Tangela here, pretty much to bait him into going into his Blacephalon, as this should give me an opportunity to get up my Stealth Rock, as that's exactly what he does. He goes into the Blacephalon, which allows me to have a switch in now into my Regirock. And if he goes for a Fire move on this turn, that would be the ideal situation, but he actually goes for the Substitute, and that's really big information to have, because I thought this was going to be Choice Scarfed going into this matchup, and he opted to go with a set like this, which is still threatening, but it means that my Beedrill can actually outspeed it unless he also has access to Flame Charge on this particular set. So he is going to pop off the Never-Ending Nightmare. My Regirock is still going to be able to take this hit relatively well, but because he is behind a Substitute, I am forced to go ahead and go for the offensive move instead of trying to get up my Stealth Rock. Plus, if I went for Stealth Rock here, then I would probably just have to defog away my own rocks in a little bit anyways, as I am prioritizing getting my Rotom Wash in as soon as possible to get rid of those sticky webs so that Beedrill can put in the work that I know it really can in this game, as well as Mew and Zygarde. So I do just go straight for the Bulldoze here. I'm going to go for another Bulldoze because I have absolutely no reason to go for any other move. It's going to reduce the speed on any of his mons that come in, which is going to make it even easier for my Rotom Wash to be able to go for the defog on whatever comes in as well, and he opts to go into the Comfy, which is actually perfect for what I'm trying to do here. As Comfy can't really do much at all to the Rotom. I think it has access to Giga Drain, but I don't expect him to have it in this matchup. So I'm just going to go into the Rotom, as he is going to just go straight for the Hidden Power. Reveals to be Hidden Power Ground. So pretty cool coverage there for the Alolan Marowak and the Regirock and whatever else he wanted to use it on, the Cobalion potentially. So yeah, Rotom's going to be able to be immune to the HP Ground and fire off the Defog as he goes for a Toxic now with his Comfy. So I'm really okay with how these early turns have played out. Sticky Web is no longer going to be a factor here in this game, and that's kind of the nature of Sticky Web. It's really a high-risk type of strategy, especially if you go all in on Sticky Web in a particular game. It can really set you back if you're not able to keep them up throughout the course of the game. So we'll just kind of have to see how that comes into play as the game unfolds. But I am just going to go for the Slow Volt Switch now with my Rotom, as he just goes for the Draining Kiss, which does get the priority boost from Triage. And now I'm just going to go into my Beedrill, because he really doesn't have great switches to it. I'm kind of expecting him to try to go into his Excadrill or his Toxicroak here, and because of that, I'm just going to go straight for the knockoff. It also covered the potential Kebia Berry on this Comfy as well, as I thought that was an option you could have, but either way, knockoff just seemed like the good middle ground. I'm kind of surprised he's leaving this thing in, as it's looking like his only real way to deal with my Zygarde, so that's why I go for a second knockoff there, expecting him to try to preserve this, but he seems content to just let me take this thing out, and because of those two knockoffs, it's now in range of my U-turn as well, so I don't even have to go for the Poison Jab. I can just go for a safer move in U-turn and not have to risk a potential like Choice Scarf Excadrill coming in, or like a I don't know, like a really offensive Excadrill that I don't like switching into coming in on my Beedrill. So I can just go straight for the U-turn, knock out the Comfy, and that's really good news for my Zygarde, which I'm going to go ahead and bring in now on the empty switch, as he's just going to go into his Toxicroak, which tells me it's either going to be a Choice Scarf variant to try to go for a Choice Scarf Ice Punch, or it's going to be a Shuca Berry to take 1,000 arrows from my Zygarde, which because of that, I'm just going to go straight for the Z move to try to knock him out through the Shuca Berry, if that's what he has here in this game, and he turns out to not have either of those. It just drops. So not 100% sure on the thought process on that play. Maybe he was just trying to bait me into burning my Z move, in which case, good play on his end, because he does have this T-Tar, this Mega T-Tar in the back, which is pretty fat. And if it is more of like a bulky defensive Dragon Dancing variant, then it can put in a lot of work here if it's able to get up at like 2 or 3 Dragon Dances. I think 3 Dragon Dances is what it would need to be able to break through my Tangela. So if I just stay in with my Zygarde and just start going for the Dragon Dances, the best he can probably do is just go for 1 Dragon Dance safely, and at that point my Mega Beedrill still has the speed investment to outpace a +1, even jolly Mega Tyranitar with my investment. So I do feel pretty comfortable with this series of plays, plus I have priority on this Zygarde as well as on my Mew, if I needed to be able to pick off this T-Tar from, a minimal amount of HP. So I am going to lose my Zygarde here to the +1 Ice Punch, but he was only able to get off 1 Dragon Dance because he really looks like he's more of an offensive variant. So Beedrill is going to be able to outspeed this thing and knock it straight out with the U-turn. So Mega Beedrill putting in the finest of work so far in this game, as the T-Tar is going to go down. And here I'm going to just make the play into my Rotom Wash, basically because Rotom can take any hit from the Blacephalon if that's what he wants to go into, and that's the only Mon left on his team that I think actually has a chance of cleaning up the game depending on his set. So I would rather make the Blacephalon come in at the very end against my Mega Beedrill. Mega Beedrill is looking like it should be able to clean up this game, especially if this is a Mold Breaker Excadrill that doesn't have a Choice Scarf on it. So he does reveal the Mold Breaker. He actually just goes for the Toxic, expecting me to try to switch into my Tangela most likely. But no, I'm actually content with sacrificing my Rotom Wash here. Even if he went for the Earthquake on that turn, I could have then gone into Tangle, like gone for a knockoff, and that would have hit the incoming Blacephalon for a lot of damage, or it would have gotten rid of whatever the item was on this Excadrill. And yeah, so I was pretty content with sacking Rotom here just to ensure that I'm able to get, you know, a safe switch into one of my threats. And with him not being Choice Scarf, that actually means that my Mew could have been able to come in here and clean up the remainder of this game as well if I wanted to. But now that I kind of see what his team looks like with these last 2 months, I kind of want to give Mega Beedrill some more kills if I can. So I'm going to play toward that. Mega Beedrill is currently my highest kill achieving Pokemon on my team, so I kind of felt like going for that option for the late game. I had a couple options I could really go for here, but this one just seemed like the safest, so I don't have to play like a Sucker Punch mind game with my Mew versus his sub Blacephalon. So I'm just going to go for the safe U-turn with my Mega Beedrill. Knockoff could have knocked this thing out, but I didn't want to risk him being like a Z move on this thing as well and Knockoff not doing much damage, or if he is just a really bulk invested Excadrill, like a lot of defense investment randomly on it, maybe attack and defense investment, which is possible, then you could have actually taken that Knockoff as well from the amount of health it was at. So I went for the safe U-turn first just to put myself in a position where I can just click Knockoff twice in these last 2 turns of the game and knock out the remainder of his team. So Mega Beedrill picking up 5 kills here in this game. It is now 8-0. 8 kills, 0 deaths this season in 2 games. That's ridiculous. Well, I am very curious to see if Mega Beedrill is going to be able to keep up that pace throughout the rest of the season. There's no way it's going to keep up that pace, but honestly, it's been really impressive here so far. And yeah, that's cool to see. This was a Pokemon I've been wanting to use for a long time, and to see it really do so well here on this team, it's fun. It's fun to see that. It's fun to build with that in mind, knowing that it's such a problem for a lot of opposing teams, considering the other threats that are on my roster. It's just been a pretty awesome Pokemon to have. So a good game to my opponent, AAron. You know, obviously Sticky Web was the strategy he went with in this game, and like I said before, it is a high risk strategy, and it kind of backfired here for him for sure. He didn't have any Scarpers as far as I'm aware on his team, so he really didn't have any way to outpace the Mega Beedrill with the Sticky Web not on the field. So I think that was specifically what hurt him the most in this matchup. And yeah, so that's just how it goes sometimes. But that does kind of tie into the question of the day, which you can see it on the screen. Just what do you guys think about Sticky Web in draft format? Do you think it's a viable strategy? Do you think it's a good strategy? Or do you think it's too risky to entirely lean on, you know, in a specific game? And you guys have probably noticed, you know, those of you that have been following me throughout this generation, you probably noticed that I don't think I've built a single Sticky Web team. I've drafted Sticky Web once, but it was more just like, oh cool, this Pokemon gets Sticky Web. It was Araquanid. I had an Araquanid on a tournament team, and I'm trying to remember if I actually uploaded the games from that tournament. I might not have. If I didn't, then you probably have no idea what I'm talking about, but still, I've only drafted Sticky Web once, and it is pretty nice to have, but I don't think, personally, that it's worthwhile on a Pokemon like Swadloon, for example, where it's basically losing your team a slot, which can really hurt you if your opponent's ready for the Sticky Web, as a Pokemon like Swadloon's not going to stay alive very long in a game. So, you know, that's just my opinion on it. I think it's a lot better on something like Araquanid or maybe Ribombee, both of which are pretty valuable Pokemon, even outside of just having access to Sticky Web. But yeah, just let me know what you think about that down in the comments below. But anyway, also let me know what you thought about the game in the comments below as well. But yeah, that about wraps up this week. Next week we have a game against an old friend of mine, Skyrander. He is a veteran in the community. He's been around pretty much as long as I have, and that's a long time, guys. That's like over 4 years in the community. He's been around since pretty much the very beginning. I've never had the chance to play him in an official league battle. I battled him at least once in like a mock before, but yeah, we've never played in an official game before, and he's pretty solid, so it's going to be a fun game. I'm really looking forward to that one here for sure. I think that's probably the game that I was looking forward to the most once I saw like the roster of coaches this season, just because he's someone that I have respect for, and I think it'll be a fun game here for sure. So really looking forward to that. I hope you guys are as well. But that about wraps up this video. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you all in the team builder next Saturday, where we'll be preparing for Skyrander, and I believe he is still the Scandinavian Stoutland. So be on the lookout for that. Have a good one, guys. Later.